So, here we are, all together.
So we are. I demand that the Penguin Union remove itself from the situation. I'm afraid it's too late for that, brother. They've made an attractive offer. Our people may be able to obtain greater autonomy through them. The Penguin Union is simply throwing a grenade into a crowd to see what happens. They're taking advantage of the existing conflict.
I resent that charge, Golex.
There was already a process in motion to remedy the Lithos' demands. There's no reason to overcomplicate things.
That process, as I understand it, has taken several years to make any progress. Clearly the King of Zwell can't be bothered. No, there's no reason to believe that. It's just that the King is committed to the continuity of the traditional relationship with the Lithos. The elders here likewise see no reason for a change. That's no longer viable, I'm afraid.
With all due respect to the elders, the younger generations need more. We insist on more. And you shall receive more, but there's a process. Do not be seduced by the Penguin Union's promises. They are dripping with venom.
Look, fellas, I'd love to argue all day about this, but I have more important things to do.
He means he has an anime to review. He's not taking this seriously. I still don't know what anime is.
Look, I've gotta go. Viltrox, maybe we can adjourn this for now?
You're not really going to review an anime, are you?
I'll bet he's going to do one of those internet videos.
That's the same thing.
Gotta go. See ya!
And he has your best interests in mind. Look, he's not the entire Penguin Union.
Penguin Truth here, and it's time for more Otaku Evolution. Remember to like, subscribe, and contribute to my Patreon. In this video, I take a look at the, prequel, maybe? Let's say reimagining of the tokusatsu movie Zeiram with Iria, Zeiram the Animation. Keita Amamiya, a director and character designer for a lot of tokusatsu TV shows and movies, was largely responsible for the creation of the Zeiram movies, two features about the titular rampaging humanoid monster and the bounty hunter Iria who fights him. Iria, Zeiram the Animation is a 6-episode OVA from 1994 that sees our heroine come up in her career as a bounty hunter, starting from an apprentice before graduating to full-fledged. It was directed by Tetsuro Amino, who also directed Macross 7. I first saw Iria on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the heyday of their anime block, along with Tank Police, Tenchi Muyo in Love, Armitage III, and Venus Wars. Back then, anime was novel to me, and I ate it all up happily, not really caring about the substance. I bought the DVD set for Iria some years later at a convention and watched it a couple of times, mostly enjoying it, but with every new view it dimmed. And that brings us to today. Like many of the anime that was on the Sci-Fi Channel, Iria just doesn't quite stand the test of time. Oh, don't get me wrong. I do like the distinct art direction and atmosphere of this anime. It takes place on a couple of alien planets with all kinds of interesting architecture and technology. Character designs are mostly solid. The soundtrack is decent enough, if not particularly memorable, and the action works too. I especially enjoy Iria herself. She's a real badass. She can be introspective, but she doesn't let herself brood too long before she takes action. She's not quite up there with Major Kusanagi or Balsa, but she's close. But I feel like this OVA doesn't really deserve such a cool character, because it's pretty mediocre overall. Not for an excess of terribleness, mind you, though there are things that bother me, but just the lack of innate quality. It comes off as a little empty. But Iria isn't the only character in this hot mess. Just the only character that matters. But we also have characters like Glenn and Bob. Iria, Glenn, and Bob.
One of these things is not like the others. One of these things doesn't belong.
Well, Glenn is Iria's older brother, though I think it's later revealed that he isn't really, and mentor in bounty hunting. He's the serious type, more cautious, but also highly skilled. At the beginning of the story, he takes a job to rescue the hijacked crew of a space vessel and disappears in a protracted battle against Zeiram and assumed dead. Iria spends the rest of the OVA looking to avenge him. Bob is sort of a go-between hired by the security company that employs the bounty hunters. He tends to give Glenn a lot of good-paying jobs and is friendly with him and Iria. During the initial bout with Zeiram, he is critically injured, and his mind is transferred into a computer where he continues to live on as an AI that assists Iria. Like Glenn, he's more cautious than Iria, often hoping to curb some of her more reckless behavior. Then there's Fujikuro. Fujikuro was kind of an asshole, stealing Iria's bounty at the beginning of the first episode, and generally being a jerk that's resentful of Glenn. He eventually comes to help Iria in her fight against Zeiram, but only begrudgingly and because Bob's paying him. But underneath it all, he's really not such a lout. And then there's the annoying brats. I hate them like poison. Ah yes, Kei and Komimasa, the oh-so-precious, mischievous street urchins that live in the slums of a resort planet. I'd feel sorrier for their lot in life if they weren't so damn annoying most of the time. At least they have the decency to shuffle one of them off before the conclusion, but the other stays around to be a general nuisance to the characters and audience. If only they had been more like Julia from last week's subject. She was a little bratty, sure, but what kid isn't? The thing is, they didn't try to do more than they needed to with her. Oh, and there's also Dr. Toka, the perpetually grumpy scientist who studies the Zeiram phenomenon. He spends most of the time either looking at various instruments, reading data about Zeiram and its children, or trying to convince the government that the monster is a serious threat that they should probably not mess around with. Needless to say, his words fall on deaf ears, as most scientists do in these cases.
When they come back, there will be more of them. I can promise you that.
Then we'll just have to keep on transiting them away, no matter how many more may come. We will build custom transemblers. But if you can find its weak spot, then we'll have an alternative.
If you can put it to sleep and bring it to me, I'll find its weak spot.
And how do you propose we do that? Sing it a lullaby?
Now to some of the story's, let's say, eccentricities. Like how Iria is being hunted by the Antipodes Corporation after returning home from the space mission, but after the third episode ends, she's suddenly not being chased anymore. I mean, the only thing that happened is that she broke into the company's HQ and confronted the guy in charge of using Zeiram as a weapon. If anything, the little visit should have made the corporation double its efforts to take her down, because she has proof they illegally transported Zeiram, and they were going to, use it as a weapon. Oh, and the proof? A microchip with a recording on it of the guy in charge, bragging to his mistress about how easy it would be to weaponize Zeiram. A recording that the guy kept, which means he probably recorded it, and kept it for what exactly? Why does this microchip exist in the story, if not just to confirm to Iria that Antipodes was planning on using Zeiram?
Why was this documented?
Good question, Peridot. Here's another question. Just what is Zeiram? You'd think somewhere in this 6-episode OVA they'd have explained something about the nigh-immortal monster, but nope, not really. All we really know is that Zeiram already existed, it was illegal to transport it, it can create lesser copies of itself, children, Zeiram, that run amok, it can assimilate people, and that the Antipodes Corporation was determined to weaponize it for profit. And after episode 3, the corporation doesn't even make any appearances, so I guess they just kinda gave up after the incident with the spaceship. What's with Zeiram's design? It has this wide-brimmed part of its head that could separate from the main body that's like a hat, and it has this little white no-face on it that can extend its neck out, like the little mouth inside of the mouth of a xenomorph from the Aliens franchise. I mean, with the cloak and everything, it does cut an interesting figure, but I just can't make heads or tails of its biology, or if it has any motivation other than tearing through people. I mean, it's not like I needed to know everything about Zeiram. It's established as this almost immortal creature that's a threat to humanity, and that's basically all we really need to know to watch the OVA, but it would help fill in the world a little if we knew what and where humanity first encountered Zeiram, or why the politicians are so damn confident they can just deal with it whenever they want to.
All units fire!
Am I too late?
What do we do now?
What's wrong? Terminal 9, report!
Kill it! Come on!
Which brings me to one of my disappointments with this anime. As much as I detest the two kids, the episode they're introduced in also has this interesting class warfare angle to it, in that the guy Iria goes to see about Zeiram is fine with letting it kill and maim in the slums so that the government can clear away the riffraff.
Now.
We have a trash problem on this world.
Trash?
That's right. The Shadow Zone is overrun with human trash. They cause us nothing but trouble. A band of disrespectful, reckless thieves. And they ruin the resort image of Dowager. Good-for-nothing human waste.
You're just abandoning them?
This is saving us the trouble. We would have done it ourselves sooner or later.
This riles Iria up so badly that she drags Zeiram towards the government office on her little cruiser thing, forcing the government stooge to activate the teleporter to send Zeiram and Iria away. But when we next meet Kumimasa and Kei, nothing is brought up about this incident. I say it's a disappointment because there was some potential in showing the indifference of the powers that be towards the common folk and poorer classes, and their arrogance in thinking that they can control Zeiram, possibly to clear out room for more development. But they didn't really go with that angle, opting for more of the same Iria seeks vengeance for Glenn shtick we'd already gotten tired of by the 4th or 5th episode. It's always a shame when an anime introduces a concept that could be mined further for better content, but ignores it in favor of more traditional fare. This is another reason why dismissing the Tin Antipode part of the story so soon is so confusing, because it could have been incorporated into the same theme of the arrogance of the upper crust affecting the lower classes. As it is, it just turns into another fight with an alien menace at the end. Iria Zeiram the Animation is one of those anime you can watch and enjoy on some surface level, but the more you think about it, the less sense it makes and the more potential seems wasted. In other words, it's a lot like most of the other anime that aired on the Sci-Fi Channel's Saturday anime block. Kind of fun, but mostly shallow. Honestly, a character as cool as Iria and a monster as interesting as Zeiram deserved a better anime than this. As a prequel to the live-action movies, I hear it doesn't make much sense, but even as a distillation or reimagining, it has some pretty big flaws. If you're nostalgic for this era of anime, there are better titles to slake your thirst. You're probably better off avoiding this one altogether. Even though it's disappointing, I can't bring myself to part with my DVD copy of this anime. I think it'll always have a place in my collection as long as I remember the time in which anime was a brand new adventure for me. You know, I have to head back to the Mark I for 80s month. So I'll see you there, folks. Until then, see ya!
Zeiram is an evil, unkillable space creature. If someone could harness its power as a weapon, nothing would compare. And it looks like some fools wanted to steal it for themselves. Bet they didn't die an easy death.
I do not think he is coming back.